What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel as well as on Twitch, so make sure you come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name Aftersound. And I do have a new song out recently called Tides, so check it out. Let me know what you think, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, I have not done one of these videos in a very long time. As you can see very clearly here, I took a break over the summer where I just was not tracking the amount of wild season permits that were being purchased on a regular basis. And so the last time I even unofficially tracked this was the season that began in mid-July, right, on July 15th. But I don't even, this number here, I forgot when I even stopped tracking that, right? So I probably put this in sometime middle of the season, but I didn't actually get the full snapshot at the end of the season. So this 1,500 is not really valid, right? And then we're going to have roughly 3 seasons here where if I just take out all the stuff from the, end of last season, and then obviously we'll talk about the new season that I'm tracking now, it's 4,249. So I guess what you could say over the course of these 4 seasons, let me run some quick numbers here on this spot. So the total, or the sum of this is 5,801. If I divide that by 4, then the average is 1,450. That doesn't seem very right. But again, that's what it says. This doesn't seem accurate, so I really want to throw out the last couple of seasons and just say, hey, you know what? Season number 27, and this is not the official season, but the season that began, the 27th season that I'm tracking, the one that began on August 31st, so far, this is what we have seen, because I took the snapshot right at the end, right? The break number here is what I took right before the previous season ended, or before this current season started, and then this is everything that we've had so far, and I believe we are, let me look it up here. We are now, I think, halfway through the season. Yeah, there's about 7.5 days left. So, yeah, 7.5 days left. Perfect. So this is halfway through the season. We're at 1,851, right? 1,851. And when you look at previous seasons to that, this is kind of in line. I mean, we're probably not going to get to 1,900 at this point. So we are still seeing a decline, which not really a surprise here, considering that SPS has been super low. What is interesting, though, and I'll get into this in a second, or I'll go into this further later, but DEC is lower too, right? We're seeing a massive decline in DEC while SPS is shooting up. But just to quickly cover where we were at, a couple seasons ago, we were, if I go back to March and April, we did go under 1,900, right? 1,877 is what we had in March. Then in April and May, we saw the rise of SPS, SPS essentially doing a 2 to 3x, right, from its all-time low up to the 1.4 something cents that it reached during the Conclave Arcana presale and launch. During that time period, we saw a lot more accounts come online. Now, we also saw a lot of accounts leave Modern format and come to Wild, and so, that made sense. But there was a lot of economical, it made a lot of economical sense, too, just because of the fact that the rewards were significantly better. Now, obviously, SPS has done, more than a 50% retracement since that time period, which sucks. And it's recovered some a little bit, but you can see we went from, 1,900 all the way back up to 2,100, then back down into the 1,900 range before I stopped tracking. So where does that leave us? Okay, so now we're kind of in that same range, right? 1,851. And once again, as I talked about in previous videos, with the uncertainty regarding the geopolitical, macroeconomic framework, let alone Bitcoin and crypto, right? We're still seeing a consistent amount of people, or I should say accounts, participating in Wild format. What I would say is even more interesting, though, is that there's a lot of activity happening in other parts of the game. More people are getting land online, and obviously Frontier mode is one of the biggest modes that people are participating in a while. You also have Survival mode being another area in which people are participating because they separated out the cooldown periods, right? So what will be interesting to see, and I'll close out with this, what I was referencing earlier, is with DEC a little bit lower now, and I'm not going to bring this up on screen, but just for my reference here, it's currently sitting at about, we'll say 22%, 22% off of peg, 0.78, right? So 78 cents for every 1,000 DEC, whereas SPS is up to 0.0082, up, from about 0.007 or wherever it was for a while there. If we continue to see the rise of SPS, and maybe just the stagnation of DEC as people are maybe selling the DEC that they get for SPS to purchase the upcoming Conclave Arcana mini set. It looks like that proposal is going to pass. that could create an interesting dynamic where the entry point to get into the wild format is not only cheaper, but the rewards are higher, right? So we've seen it where it's just one way, where the rewards go up, even though DEC's at peg, right? The rewards go up and people say, oh, okay, it makes sense to get a second account online, or get my alt accounts or my bot accounts or whatever it is online, right? I can go and do that. But when you have a little bit of a double whammy, and I know SPS isn't as high as it was before, but SPS going up while DEC is lower or at a discount, I mean, that creates even more of an economic incentive. So we're not quite seeing that yet. I think we're only at the beginning phases of that, where DEC hasn't really been impacted by anything. If anything, it's been negatively impacted by probably people selling for SPS, as we've seen SPS go up. But as we go through the next couple of seasons here, knowing, right, once the proposal passes and maybe getting a little bit more information on the mini set, right, whenever that would go live. My guess is, I mean, they're saying that they would want to have it live by December, which means they'd have to do some kind of pre-sale, at the very minimum, like a 2-week pre-sale. So that would be like mid-November, which means we'd probably get information by the end of October, early November, right? So we're talking about like a month and a half from now, knowing a lot more, but also at the same time understanding what the pricing is and people taking advantage and scooping up a bunch of SPS, right? So that could be the case. Now, I'm not going to get into the other implications of what happens if SPS rises and maybe people choose to burn their SPS for DEC. That could be an interesting thing too, but I'll save that for another video. Right now, I just wanted to focus in on the wild format, wild season permit purchases, and this is where we're at. So for those of you who were relying on me to cover this, I do apologize that I took a couple seasons off, but hopefully you find this helpful, and I will do my best to keep this accurate and consistent as we move forward. But that is all I have for you guys in this video. I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.